awaken to your truth that you are the I Am presence in harmony with the divine. You are consciousness beyond what the body and mind identify. This is Moment to Moment. Host Linda Hope will remind and enlighten you to know your divine nature. You were born into the body already aware, but forgot it as you expanded your sense of identity, ego mind, pattern behaviors, and habits. Stop sleepwalking and wake up to your timeless, eternal, formless self. Now, your host of Moment to Moment, Linda Hope.
Welcome, namaste, to this present moment, this now. Thank you for tuning in and tuning up and being present now. And my name is Linda Hope, and you're listening to Moment to Moment. And as we talk about this every show, how important this moment is, we just sort of let that go. It's somehow we forget over and over and over again that this moment is all we have, right? We always think about this moment as an opportunity for the next moment. We're so into thought that we forget that this moment is right here in front of us, and it's vibrant and it's rich and it's alive and it's got meaning and purpose and it's full of love and compassion. And yet our minds come in and take us out of this moment and make it into something else and create stories and images and projections and all kinds of imaginary information that follows. It's very interesting to watch your mind. I don't know if you're listening to me now. Think about this for a moment. We're going to talk about relationships. Relationships, can be with your partner, with a friend, with children, with your parents. Every relationship you have is an opportunity for you to stay present. Stay present while you're talking to them. Because what happens a lot of times, and I think we spoke about this in the past, is that when we communicate with somebody else, having a conversation, we tend to think about what we want to say in response to what they're saying. And we somehow miss what they're saying because we're so involved in our own thoughts and what we're going to say after they're done. And sometimes we even interrupt them because we're so happy with what we are thinking about, not about learning anything about what they're saying or even considering what they're saying, but just so happy with what we came up with that we want to interrupt them. That tendency is very strong in us, especially when we're so attached to the thought and we think it's so, wow, I've got a better thought than you do, and I have a better answer than you do. And the better thing is all about the ego. It's one-upping somebody else. I'm sure we've all been in conversations like that, where the other person may not even allow us to talk, right? They're so habituated in wanting to prove something to you. And all of a sudden you're like, okay. You're just their sounding board. And they're in turn not interested in what you have to say either. So we don't call that communication. We call that talking in different levels, talking past somebody, not really connecting. And when you find people that you honestly can connect with in a relationship, it's glorious. It's beautiful. It's harmonious. You're in harmony with them, and they are so happy to be talking to you because they just feel that you're reflecting each other. And when you have that kind of interaction, that valuing each other, that intentional moment to moment, I call it a love fest. It's just fantastic. But we don't find that a lot, do we, in our lives? We don't find that strong connection a lot. And I think that we need to take time to understand the human dynamic. We need to take time to understand that we are also not just a person here. We're not just a person with an identity that believes themselves to be a certain way, with a belief system, with a pattern behavior, a conditioned lifestyle. We need to look at something that's even greater than that within ourselves, that essence of who we are, the knowingness of that beautiful place of awareness and consciousness. So let's delve into it a little bit closer here, because as you're hearing me speak, I'm sure you are wondering, what are important key factors in a harmonious relationship that we can maybe put into practice today? Put it into practice now, because again, now is all there is. And because I'm going to talk to you on a 3D level, I'm going to talk to you as a person looking for a harmonious relationship with whomever you have with you in your life. I may be focusing a little bit on your partner, because I've had conversations with others who are in turmoil a little bit and wondering what to do with a relationship that's not working. And so we're going to explore that human dynamic side of it a little bit. And then I'm going to then we're going to talk about how we can really raise our vibration and really approach it from a more conscious state. So I'm going to have you take a pen and pencil out and get ready. But again, we first have to take a nice short break and honor our sponsors, but get that paper and pencil ready, because I think you're going to really see some really important points that you will want to write down. So you're listening to Linda Hope, Moment to Moment. We'll be right back.
Certified psychic medium Stephanie Lynn creates an authentic connection between the living and the spirit world. Stephanie knows she is here to help heal, educate, and provide validation that there is more after death, and allows herself to be a conduit and work as a team with spirit to pass on messages from their world to ours. Stephanie Lynn also works as a spiritual life coach to help you achieve, create, and manifest your best self and life. Looking for help communicating with an animal? Searching for a past life regression therapist? Or dealing with a paranormal experience? Stephanie Lynn is here to help. For a list of full services, visit her on Facebook under Stephanie Lynn Spirit Sensitive. That's Stephanie Lynn Spirit Sensitive.
Welcome back, and I'm so happy you did come back because we're going to touch on some very sensitive information here. And how do we communicate effectively, and how do we value someone else in our lives and really look at our participation in that relationship? Because frankly, it is all about you. It's all about not blaming the other person for what you do. In other words, we're going to list 4 important key guidelines, I can say, big guidelines, and how you can at least take a higher view and look at a relationship from a deeper perspective. So we're going to start with our number one. It's a biggie. You may not agree. And as soon as I say it, you're going to probably turn me off. But here's the first one. Number one, take 100% responsibility for every relationship. I'm going to repeat that. Take 100% responsibility for every relationship. Okay. Now, I'm not going to go into a depth right now, but we're going to list them and then we're going to go back and really talk about it. Number two, take 100% responsibility for your own happiness. Ooh, that's a big one too. Number three, you are not responsible for anyone else. That's a big one too. Wow. And number four, accept every moment as it is, no matter what. No matter what, good or bad. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to start with number one. Take 100% responsibility for every relationship. Now, what I'm saying is, and you're probably thinking, how am I taking responsibility if they yell at me and they do this to me? And I mean, how am I supposed to take responsibility for their actions? Well, we're not going to talk about that right now. What we are going to talk about is you have a responsibility to communicate in a way with your partner that's honest, open, loving. Coming from the place of love is the best place, from your heart. When you come from a place of love, you can't hold love and fear in the same place. Because if you're not coming from love, you're coming from your pattern behavior. So it's your responsibility to come from that place of love. Where is that love? Unconditional love. We're not just talking about love, regular love, because, frankly, I don't think there's really a person, an individual that's capable of unconditional love, because we're so conditioned. 1 minute, the person is lovable, saying the exact things you want them to say, doing everything you want them to be doing, he or she. And then all of a sudden, they look at you funny, like they remind you of somebody that you didn't like years back. And all of a sudden, you're gone. You don't like them anymore. Oh, no, they remind me of my old boyfriend. Oh, geez, what did I do? Da, 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 da. I mean, we can be that fickle. So very unconditional is from the place of, as we're talking about, the beingness, the being part of us, the loving self. That is love. The place that is not the person with the identity and the ego mind. We're coming from that place of pure consciousness. And that's where abundant love resides. And then it does permeate everything. It permeates our relationships. It permeates our the harmony, the synchronicity in our lives. And it really has its own knowing that it exists. And it doesn't need anybody else out there to even recognize that it exists. It knows itself. But that's where true love, that's where unconditional love comes from. But again, as individuals, as habituated people, we tend to use love a lot conditionally. And it becomes a power thing sometimes, control kind of mechanism, where if somebody is not doing something, we take that love away, right? We use it as, well, I don't like you, so I'm going to withdraw my love. And it can be very fickle as we go through life. 1 minute we like somebody, next minute we don't. One person, oh, I can't live without you. Next minute it's like, oh, what did I ever see in that person? So when we take 100% responsibility for our own actions and what comes out of our mouth, that's what I mean by taking 100% responsibility. Because if you are coming from the place of true intention and caring and compassion, then you're going to show that in your actions and your deeds. Okay. And that's going to form a beautiful bond. So 100% responsibility. Okay. Now, we also talk about our happiness. Number 2, take 100% responsibility for your own happiness. What does that mean? Well, we need to look at our own happiness as something that nobody can give us. But if we ourselves are so content with our own presence, and if we believe that we are worthy, which is really beyond belief, because we are all essentially, the nature is love and peace. We are that. So if we realize that within ourselves, we really don't need anybody else to say that they love us or care for us or even, give us the time of day, really, because that we're not looking outside ourselves for validation. In other words, we already feel complete and whole and loving and lovable. And it really doesn't matter what people say or do in that state, because actually we see everybody as a reflection of ourselves, and we see everybody as the essential nature of God and godliness and wholeness. And we don't see ourselves as different from anybody else. We aren't different. We really are all one in the nature of all of us, this beautiful co-creating world. But what happens is when we separate ourselves out and we say, I'm better than you, again, the ego mind comes in and separates us. And now we're making that other person, the other, a blame. We're blaming them for our unhappiness, because the individual ego, the identity, is now defending itself. And now you are to blame, and you're making me unhappy. And that's the ego victim that's playing out in that dynamic. So number 2, when you take 100% responsibility for your own happiness, right? Your own happiness, you are responsible. You're not giving away your power to somebody else. In other words, when you give away your power to somebody else and you're expecting them to fill you up, to do the right thing by you, to say the right thing, right? Then you're waiting to see how it all turns out, and you're sort of passively waiting for something to not go right. Not go right, because the ego mind is habituated that way. It's always waiting to get something that will upset the ego. I am upset with you because you did X, Y, and Z. You did that to me, and I am upset with you. And so that happens, that dynamic happens when a person is expecting somebody else to live up to their expectations of them. And all of a sudden, they're not living up to their expectations. And we do that a lot, don't we? We expect somebody to be, to dress the right way, to say the right things, and we project it out all the time. We expect them to be, oh, they're going to call me at the right time, that kind of thing. We expect a lot from somebody else. And if they don't do it, then we're unhappy. So that could easily show us why we're so unhappy all the time. I mean, we can go into a store and buy groceries, and the person is, talking to the person next to them and not paying attention to you. And you're waiting around going, well, I got to get out of here. Why is that grocer taking the time and talking nicely to that other person, the customer? Come on, that customer's got to move along. I am busy. And that's so funny, because that's the ego mind saying, I'm more important than that customer in front of me. So move along, right? Same thing happens. We could be driving in a car and somebody is slow in front of us. We find that a lot, don't we? Well, but why is that person so slow? Let's move along here. And we make other people so responsible for our unhappiness that we could have just sat back, watched that interaction with that customer talking to the clerk, and enjoying that interaction and saying, isn't that nice that those two people are actually talking to each other so nicely? Isn't that wonderful? Not make it about yourself. Because the minute you make it about your ego and taking it personally, you get triggered. You get out of whack. You absolutely do. You just, again, you feel like the victim. So again, take 100% responsibility for your own happiness. And then if all of a sudden you're with somebody and they're sharing their love and light to you, and you're experiencing the joy of being with them, and they're adding to your happiness and they're adding to that beautiful energy, you're going to be with them. You're going to be with her or him because it's feeding that beautiful positive energy, because you are that, and you're connecting in such a beautiful way. And let's go on to number 3. You are not responsible for anyone else. So in a way, I sort of touched on that. I'm going to give you, maybe an example here. So let's say that you're having a wonderful dinner with somebody, and you bring up your parents, how wonderful. I'm just making this up here. I'm just bringing up a common situation that could happen. You're bringing up the relationship with your mother or your father, and how, your father was critical. And let's say I'm with somebody here, and he's listening, and I said, yeah, my father was very critical. And, he'd always do this, X, Y, and Z. And then all of a sudden you see the person you're talking to, all of a sudden, like, not look so friendly or happy about what you just shared with them. And you thought, oh, wow, we're having a good conversation. But now all of a sudden I'm talking about my father, and now he's looking weird, and he's all of a sudden not talking to me. And then the whole evening he stopped talking, and all you found yourself was trying to make small talk. And then after the dinner, he just says goodbye and nice, we'll talk maybe. I'll give you a call, okay? And then he leaves, right? Well, you don't know what happened. You don't know what happened there. You think, oh, wow, I must have said the wrong thing. Obviously, I said the wrong thing. Maybe I should call him and say I'm sorry. Maybe I should call him up and say, I didn't mean to say what I said. But you don't even know enough about that person to just, and then to say you're sorry for making him feel a certain way. I'm sure everybody can relate to this, right? Because all of a sudden you're having a wonderful conversation, and then it turns south. So what do you do in that kind of situation? Well, typically what happens is you ponder it. You ponder. First of all, you don't know anything about this person, and plus you don't know his history, and you don't know what he's thinking. You can't get inside of his mind. But what do we do to ourselves? This is an important point. What do we do now? Well, sometimes we think, darn it, I shouldn't have said that. I ruined the evening. He'll never call me again. I don't know. I'm so stupid. I can't believe I could have said something like, maybe I could have done a different topic, maybe something that was like not so personal. And then we ridicule ourselves, absolutely ridicule. And then we don't, we have this in our mind that we blew it, we did it again, and it feeds the drama of it. And then we can't sleep, because we go to sleep and say, I did it again. I shouldn't have said that, blah, 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 right? And we blame ourselves for it. And so what happens? Oh, the next day, right? The person calls. You go, hey, how you doing? What's going on? And they say, I apologize for my reaction, for what we did at dinner time. I all of a sudden, what you said about your father, it just brought up a bad memory about my father. And I don't know, it really, really struck me hard. And I'm sorry, I got into my head and I couldn't, can we try again? And so you see how the play can happen in your head. It's not the situation, it's the play that continues long after that situation's already gone, long after the dinner interaction. the mind gets carried away by potential images and stories and narratives, and it drives you crazy. It actually drives you crazy where you don't even sleep because you've now invented this whole story in your head and you believe it. And you feel you're to blame for the whole situation. This is why it's important to wake up to as this is a Yiddish word, mishigas that's going on in your head, the craziness of the storytelling that we tell ourselves over and over and over again. And so, people are going to say and do many things that you also may not appreciate, right? And you're going to say things unintentionally, or maybe sometimes intentionally, but that's, again, your responsibility. Watch for the ramifications on that if you want to push people's buttons. But you're not responsible for how they react to you, but you are responsible for the way you react to them. Because a situation is only a situation. A person can say or do anything they want, but how are you reacting to that? How are you reacting? Are you allowing them to push your buttons? And that's, again, your responsibility in that. But then when you're saying, oh, I'm responsible for how I'm pushing his buttons or her buttons, I don't think that makes sense. I think you will agree it doesn't make sense. And the fourth one is live unconditionally, accept every moment as it is, no matter what, neither good or bad. Now, that can be a little bit trying because we want it to be a certain way. Our ego wants it. We want it to be a certain way. I mean, take a birthday party, take a birthday celebration, take Christmas, take any event, take any special occasion. Don't we anticipate something before we go to that dinner or that party or whatever? Don't we already play that out in our heads? Don't we want it to be the best evening possible? And don't we want to walk out of there feeling great and happy until our minds start in the trap again and go, oh, you got to see your Aunt Mildred. Ay, ay, ay. And then your Uncle Sam, you're going to have to talk to him. And, they always give you the worst presents over the holidays. And, and then you're going to have to talk with Jim over there, who's the barber. You just don't want, and then you start building that story again. It's going to be the worst. Oh, I know it. Oh, boy. And then you look at the other side, right? Then you flip to the other side of the coin. And then you start maybe making yourself feel a little bit better. Oh, but, Aunt Shirley's there. I really like Aunt Shirley. Or I like the dog. That dog is so cute. I can't wait to pet that dog again. What's his name again? So we do this to ourselves. We play both sides so easily. And one minute we're happy, and the next minute we're going, well, how can I get out of this event? How can I not go? So what are you telling yourself in your head? What stories are you creating over this situation? Yeah. Can you just allow it? Can you just show up at the door and ring the doorbell and go, hey guys, here I am. How are you? And just allow that moment to unfold beautifully? Could you do that? Could you just walk in the room, bringing the best part of you there, that loving presence in the room, and be there for people? Just be there and see what happens. And no matter what happens, just be okay with it. Can you do that? Yeah. And just like in any situation, when you wake up in the morning, if it's a dreary day out there, we've got a lot of dreary days in Chicago, and it's going to get worse. We're going to have snow. Why am I so happy? I don't know. I just am happy. But snow, we're going to have snow. Today I went and bought a heavy coat, and I love my coat. I bundled up. I walked around I said, good, I could put my heavy coat on and I can walk around the neighborhood now, and I'm not going to freeze or anything. I have a nice heavy coat. You know, and I love this expression. There's no bad weather, just bad clothing, you know? So whatever it is, accept it. Accept it and prepare for it. You know, if you don't like the cold, figure out, get a coat. Yeah, you know, if you don't like the dull outdoors, put on something happy in your house. Put on a cheerful song. Put on some comedy. Get one of those lights that cheer you up. You know, there is that seasonal, sad, right? It's called SAD, seasonal affective disorder. And sometimes it does affect you when it's gloomy outside, right? So you turn on the light, expose yourself to the light, and it does help. Find ways so that you don't have to complain about it. Complaining is not very supportive of this higher consciousness approach, because when you complain, you are the victim. Yeah. It's not sunny enough. It's too cold outside, blah, 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 blah. And then you got to go tell your friends about it. You know, it's terrible. And then you feed each other on that lower vibrational place of, I'm not happy. I'm not happy. Well, you could move, don't like the season. You could move. You could go on vacation somewhere warm and stay there for a while. There's a lot of things you can do. You have a choice in what you do in your daily life. And again, the ego will complain, 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 and point its finger at everybody else but you. Again, 100% responsibility for you in the moment, in this now moment. Because if you don't like this now moment, guess what? You're not going to like the next now moment or the next one. That's what it means to accept now. And if it's something, let's say I just before I came on the show, I had a dish in my hand and it fell and it broke into pieces. And I looked on the floor and I went and cleaned it up. Well, maybe before I got more present in my life, I would have made a few swear remarks or whatever, and whatever, and I would have been upset or blah, blah. But I wasn't upset. I broke a dish. I cleaned it up. So again, there are different ways we can look perception and perspective in our life. We can look at it as everything is perfect as it unfolds. We can also look at it as if it's not positive, what's coming at us in that moment, it's an opportunity to learn something from it. Like that car that was in front of us going very slowly in the last example. Just, always when you're in a hurry, and I always think, God did it again, put that slow person in front of me so I would get really aware that I was in a hurry and that I was unconscious. And now I'm conscious again. Thank you very much. And you may think that that's just plain weird. That yeah, this is Linda Hope. She's so weird. You could say that. Your mind could easily say, I can't do this. I can't be responsible 100% for a relationship. I can't be responsible for my happiness. And I can't be responsible for not allowing the world to do things to me because frankly, I don't like my life and I don't like the people I'm with. And I think this is full of it. And you can say that too. You can be saying that, your mind is saying that because obviously the mind loves to talk about it and likes to be unhappy. And all of a sudden, when you don't feed it, when you don't feed that energy, and you don't feed your sadness, and you don't feed your disappointments, and you don't start talking about it to other people and talking about other people behind their back, I think you'll agree that a lot of us do that. All of a sudden, you feel like, wow, I'm not talking about other people behind their back anymore. That feels good. I like that. And I'm holding myself responsible here for my actions and my deeds. I like that too. And I'm finding, you could sort of observe that. Like, wow, life's getting less confrontational all of a sudden. I am sort of getting along with pretty much everybody now because I'm not looking for an argument. I'm not looking to be right anymore. Or I'm not looking to be the best one in the room, or the prettiest one in the room, or the smartest one in the room, or the most intelligent one in the room. I'm just happy to be in the room with nice people. And somehow I'm attracting more nice, open, conversational, happy, fun-loving people. And that happens when you are that. Because law of attraction, you attract those people in your life because you are that. You are no longer that grumpy, complaining, judgmental, controlling person who wants to be right and who complains every minute of every day. That's a very low vibration. I don't know, that could be maybe a 20 in the vibrational realm. But when you are up in the love and the peacefulness about you, you are up in the 600 range, boy. You're flying high. You are welcoming every moment of every day, and you are being present in that moment. And you are seeing the tendencies of the mind playing out and creating stories and imagining all kinds of scenarios. The Jack story thing, I remember somebody said, "You're making a Jack story up." And I would say, "What are you talking about? What's a Jack story?" Well, it's about what? I think the story goes where your car breaks down, something like that. And then you're imagining all kinds of things happening to you on the side of the road, and nobody's going to come to your rescue, and da 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 da. And then you're building up this whole thing. You're going to be killed, and you're creating this scenario where the next thing you know, you're dead. But all you were is that you were on the side of the road, and all of a sudden somebody comes and helps you. Wow, isn't that amazing? Or you have a cell phone and call for help. Things can get out of hand if you allow it to happen. So let's talk about that a little bit. Let's talk about how that we need to look as conscious beings. We need to look at how are we looking at a situation. Now, how do we see a situation in front of us? There's a situation, okay, like the car on the side of the road, or I spilled, broke a glass, or whatever situation comes into your now experience. Can you look at that situation as a situation without adding any narrative? Can you just say, "Oh, my phone died," let's say, or you broke your phone. Wow, that's a sensitive topic, though. Most people would go ballistic with the phone, right? Because you're so attached to that phone. I mean, it's sort of like your identity. Right? You have that phone, and now your mind is going nuts. My phone broke. Oh, no. Oh, they're going to try to get a hold of me. They'll be scared. I won't pick up. I'm going to be, oh, no. Now what do I can't do anything. I can't work. I can't do anything. What am I going to do? And you start to panic. And that's because, first of all, we're so attached, right? The more attached we are to something, like a computer or a phone or even somebody, we get attached. We get so protective and so identified with it that there's no separation between it. We can't take a breath. We react in such a strong way. And if you were to just pause when a situation feels overwhelming to you, just pause, take a breath, Mm. And say to yourself, it is what it is. And in that moment of clarity, something will come to you. I think I'll drive over and go to whatever that cellular place is that I bought the phone and get a new one. Or, hmm, it's nighttime. I can't get a hold of somebody I was supposed to call back. Hey, maybe I'll email them. Good idea. Okay, I'll email. Because most of us don't have landlines now, right? We have a cell phone. That's it. Once that's gone, or we go to our neighbor. Hey, neighbor, can I use your phone? All right, cool. And all of a sudden, you're talking to your neighbor you haven't talked to in a long time. And wow, if that cell phone didn't just die or get destroyed, I wouldn't be talking to my neighbor right now. So the unexpected happens out of something that is challenging. And we see the light of a new opportunity, right? There's something else that's supposed to happen out of that incident, because in our challenges, in our daily challenges, we don't see it right away. Not especially not if we play the role of the person with an identity that goes, "Oh, why does that always happen to me? Oh, yeah, yeah, it's always happening to me. I'm always finding the wrong person in a different outfit or different clothing," as they say. Why do I always get this, right? Instead of saying, "Huh, it just happened. Oh, okay, that happened." Does it have to have a meaning? Doesn't have to have a meaning, doesn't have anything. It just is. It just happened, and now if you're not in fear and you're not reacting, your buttons aren't being pushed, you have a clear signal to what you can do about it. And it's effortless, and you just take care of it. You don't attach yourself to the situation, don't attach yourself to any emotion about it, because it just is. It's not right, it's not wrong. And sometimes it's not so easy when somebody talks to you in a certain way to accept whatever that is, right? In a relationship, sometimes we have our partner, a significant other, and we expect all kinds of things from them. And then when it doesn't happen the way we want it to, we question ourselves, we question the situation, question them, like, why did they say it this way? Why did they do it that way? And then it becomes a situation and a drama. Instead of, okay, that's the way they do it. That's cool. I'm fine with that. They can say or do whatever they want to do. And I can be okay with that because I don't feel I'm attacked personally, because I don't take things personally anymore. And you can say or do whatever you want to do because I'm not identified with that. Now, I will draw the line if somebody is abusive or hurtful physically. That's where you remove yourself from the situation and either you seek help or you call whatever needs to be called. And the situation like that is obviously never acceptable. We're not saying that you have to accept somebody's tirade or yelling at you. But I have to say one thing about the yelling part. People can be in a relationship with, let's say, your brother or sister, and all of a sudden mostly it's an older brother, sometimes older sister, and all of a sudden they're yelling at you and you go, what are you yelling at me for? Well, they've just reverted back to their childhood. You've just turned back into being 5 years old again, and they're your older sibling and they're trying to tell you off. And now you're thinking to yourself, wow, I'm 60 years old and this doesn't seem appropriate. But we somehow fall back into those pattern behaviors because it seems normal You get with your sibling and all of a sudden they start telling you what to do again, and you're just accepting the drama. But I would say to you, when you go to your Christmas party or your Hanukkah party, and that family dynamic starts to creep back and you see the pattern behaviors of your loved ones acting out again. It could be your parents, it could be, children, it could be whatever. And your relationship with them. And you're seeing this pattern play out. Just know it's a pattern. Look at it, say, hey, there's my mind again, wanting to make myself right, wanting to put them down, seeing that they're wanting to make me a victim, and I'm not going to play the game. But I see it. I think it's funny. I that is a pattern with, that I'm starting to see again in my life because I'm with the people that sort of bring that out. It pushes your buttons, right? But you can be aware. You can be awake. You can just witness it and say, I'm sorry, you're not going to trigger me today. I'm just too happy. I'm just too content. I don't take it personally. And that's very important to look at it, even if you're not self-actualized or knowing that you are this beautiful being presence that you are, and you're still habituated as a person, and you really want, you want to have a nice, beautiful relationship on a personal level. You can try to be a, loving and compassionate and a good listener and do all those wonderful things to show that you care. And you can also have some consciousness to say, yeah, I'm going to do the best I can in this situation. And you probably will. And you you'll probably make it through the dinner. And hopefully when you come home, your mind won't start playing out all that conversation that you had at the dinner table when he said this and she said that, and how you felt small, and how, you had to defend yourself. And then you see the playing out again, and you're retelling your story about what just happened at the dinner table and how you could have spoken up and how you felt like you just sitting there doing nothing. And you start analyzing the relationships and who said what. And then you're back in the drama again. And what I'm saying is, it's a play. If we look at it as a play and everybody's role in it, everybody has a role in it. You have the role. 1 minute you're the role of, let's say, a mother or a father, or a sister and a brother, a man and a wife, partner, loved ones. You have different roles that you're playing at any given time. You could be a wife, a husband, and then you go with your family, and now you're a child again, and you're sitting at the kiddie table. So if you only associate yourself as that role, that's when the patterns kick in, and all of a sudden you feel like you're two again, or I digress too far. You feel like you're a teenager again, being told what to do. And it just becomes more of an enjoyable situation when you can view it from a distance, and you can make sense out of the nonsense. You can. I would suggest that we begin the practice is, let me give you some helpful hints here going forward. Let's talk about how we can be the witness. I've spoken about that a lot. The witness to your thoughts, your emotions, and your sense perceptions. Be the witness to that and detach from it. And if you can do that, and then you have that space of awareness. You are awareness. And you can see the game being played out, and you don't get personal, and you don't have it like it's not going to attack you personally anymore. You're not going to feel personally attacked, because that's not who you are. You are higher consciousness. You are peace. You are love. You are one with God. And that's all there is. And so remember that you are consciousness. And how do you do that every day when you wake up? How do you not associate yourself as just the person with this egoic mind, pattern, behavior, belief system, and all that? How do you transcend that so that you're not constantly thrown into the chaos of the world and looking outside yourself for the answers when it's all in here, when all the answer is right here? From a place of love. This is your center. This is the essence. And as love, wisdom arises, clarity, peace. So the next couple minutes, we're just going to do a very still, what's the stillness that you are. We're going to bring you into that place of stillness, quietness, the peace that you are now in the present moment. You can close your eyes or you can keep them open and just hear my voice and the stillness around my words, the quietness. And if you want to put your hand on your heart to sort of ground you, you can do that. And breathe. Breathe in and breathe out. And just be here now. And if you feel anything, sensation, just be okay with that. Be okay with that. And if a thought comes in where some sound you hear, that just let that happen. Just let it be. Accept that too. Acceptance is key. And just allow whatever it is and don't attach yourself to it. Feel the body energy. Feel the aliveness in this body, the expansiveness that is in this now moment, the energy, lightness. It's so quiet here. And your breath, you're just breathing, you're being breathed. And your blood is circulating on its own. There's nothing for you to do except just stay here now. And listening, any sounds that come up. Sometimes you hear just the buzzing of your lamp, or the dog barking, whatever is there, just allow it. It's all perfect. But you are witnessing that. That's what you are now, witnessing that. It's just all perfect now. So again, acceptance and then appreciation. An even beautiful way of understanding the moment. First, acceptance of all that is, and then appreciation for it, no matter what. Appreciating this moment, loving this experience, loving the now. As you love the now, everything unfolds from that. Every relationship unfolds from that. Ideas flow from that. Creativity flows from that place of stillness. Wisdom flows from that. There's no resistance. There's just a beautiful synchronicity that happens here, an inspiration, a joy, an inner peace that just continues to permeate. You can't really describe. Words are conceptual, but the pointings lead you back to this place of the eternal one, the now. So when you go forward with any relationship, take that moment in the morning to remember who you really are, the I am presence that you are. Remember the truth of that. And allow things to unfold and to watch the beauty of it. Expect the beauty of it. And if it doesn't happen, that's okay too. But from this place of peace and love, you're going to find your life reflecting that back to you in such a beautiful co-creating way that you'll be so amazed. And nothing will affect this, not even a gloomy day outside, because you are lit up inside. Not even a person who wants to call you with their troubles. You're there to listen and just hold space for them. If something happens in your day that doesn't work out to your liking, say, hey, that gives me another opportunity to look inward and to claim 100% responsibility for how I react to that. And to love that person for teaching you another lesson that you needed to learn because you had some other things, patterns or whatever, that you maybe pushed your button for a moment, and that's okay, good. Glad to look at that, but I can let that go too. As long as we don't attach to it, but know that love flows freely. And that when you're in love, from the place of love, you are the truest of who you are. But if you do feel your feathers are being ruffled, then hey, just another wake-up call. I'm patterning again, and that's okay. I can let that go. Get back to my center. Get back to my breath, the stillness. Take another deep breath in, let it out, and focus in on the energy of the body. And don't allow your mind, your thought patterns, your little thought entities to pull you out of the present moment and create havoc and create stories and make up all kinds of imaginary events and narratives, because it's really just plain silly when you look at it. So if you can laugh at it, it's just part of life. We all have to go through this. We all have to experience people's reaction to us and our reactions to them to really get present and awake and grounded and pretty much appreciative of that opportunity of, again, enjoying the moment. So please tune in next week as we, again, talk about the present moment. See what you can do going forward in this beautiful December month to be as present as possible, to not take things so personally, to lighten up, enjoy your time, enjoy your moment, and tune in to my podcast anytime and listen to this again, because you may want to listen to this again and the previous ones. You never know when you can pick up a little tidbit or here or there. Tune into our moment2moment.podbean.com, and really value you, really appreciate, and appreciate yourself because you are valuable and you are loved. Namaste. Sending you with so much presence and love going forward. I'm Linda Hope. You've been listening to Moment to Moment.